love it. I love it. I love it. It's that time, baby. It is the divisional round of the playoffs, and the Birds have moved on. And you know what, guys? This is the time when you got to lock in. You got to start shirking all responsibility, right? Don't accept any jobs around the house. Hopefully, we have to do this episode remote, so my wife could be listening. This could be bad. Don't accept any jobs around the house. If there's any duties with the kids over the weekend, you got to figure out. You just got to get the schedule clear, and you just got to prepare. You just got to absorb everything that's going on in the universe as we lead up to this game. And I just pray, honestly, when we get to this point of the year, I just want the ride to keep going, right? That's the most tragic thing to me if for some reason the ride were to end. Now, I don't think that's going to happen this weekend, but I'm all about the journey. We're here in the second week of the playoffs. We had a great weekend last week, which we're going to recap. But let's get into this thing. Like I said, we're doing the episode remote. We're not at the coop, so we got ourselves.
Wait,
here.
you're remote. I'm still down there in case you haven't noticed. I'm still down there.
Rocky showing technical
nice
excellence.
Down there, Rock.
Yeah,
It's still light. Yeah.
Yep.
Rocky is showing technical excellence by having the City Pigeons tailgate, I believe, in the background.
Correct.
That is an actual City Pigeons tailgate.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Okay. Now, Meech, by contrast, is clearly in a closet. Meech, can you just explain what is going on in your neck of the woods, please?
I'm a deeply closeted individual. No, I don't have a good spot to go in the house. Listen, I got 5 kids. Over the past 2 weeks, 4 of the 5 have been like deathly ill. I kind of don't want them near me. My son woke up this morning throwing up, and he's been doing like a bed tour. Like every time I look at him, he's in someone else's bed. I'm like, dude, now these all have to be disinfected. like this isn't what you do when you're sick, man. But I'm trying to quarantine in my little space right here. I don't have many places to go to that are free of sound and children. So I'm stuck inside my closet with my little starting lineup Michael Jordan action figures up here.
The acoustics are wonderful in there, let me just say.
Are you being honest, or are you?
I am. It sounds great.
Okay.
It really does.
You're in an actual closet right now?
In my literal closet. Like, there's my hoodies, some sneakers over there.
There they are. There's the connection. Oh, no. Okay, Meech with technical difficulties. Fink, speaking of bed tours, you're a guy who's been on a bunch of bed tours yourself in your life. Fink, where are you coming from?
I don't know what that means. I'm a young Christian male. What was your question again, Jesse?
Father Judge's. Wait, was it Judge you went to? Why did I get this wrong?
Father Judge. Yes, that's right.
Father Judge's finest, right? You're a good boy. I understand that. That makes sense. Now, where are you coming from? You're at the apartment. This is the.
We are in the apartment. This is the media room in our apartment, or the office, or where you work out, or where we throw everything.
Yeah.
That.
And by the way, you, unlike any of us, actually have.
You get punished and you have to sit in there for half the day.
No, when I get
media room.
No, because the media room's fun. When I get punished, I have to go sit in the bathroom. It's fucking terrible, man. You guys don't understand what I go through here.
Think so much happened actually as I think about this. We had the holiday party, right, with Devin and Breland, which was wild. We got the P tent, which, by the way, everybody you got the Mac McClung bobblehead, which is fantastic. But
stole that shit.
I know that the listeners and viewers are really looking for a P tent update, and the truth is, we did deploy the P tent effectively. It was a game changer. Didn't have to go over to the porta potty, and I didn't personally have to clean the P tent in terms of getting rid of the buildup of liquid that was in there at any point, and I don't know how that actually happened. But it was a great situation.
That bucket was about to overflow by the end.
We go P tent content less than 5 minutes into the show.
Let's talk about piss.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing: the reason that I thought about the P tent was because that was the last time we saw Dev, right? And Dev was like, she had a great time
inside the P tent.
No. Last time we saw Dev was at the holiday episode, and we all had such a good time that night. And I was texting with her, and I was like, "We got to do some like Eagles pep rally thing or whatever." She's like, "I'm in. Just tell me when and where." And then she got the job as a sideline reporter. She's been doing that.
She got the what?
Yeah, did you hear that, Fink? Did you hear that?
Nobody told me.
No.
What
I
the
thought it was Howard Eskin, right?
Where's she been on Sundays?
It's
No, I
unbelievable.
was kidding. Sorry.
Look, and the sad thing is I realized that means she's probably never, ever going to get to come to a tailgate again, right? It's not going to happen.
Oh man.
It's sad. She was a fixture for a while.
You were acting
But-
out without her around, man. You need
No,
to-
I was not.
you
Don't
need to
say that, Rock.
chaperone.
No,
Don't
I
be
was not. No, I wasn't. I was normal. I went home at a normal time. I was home with my dog.
You need a chaperone, my friend.
Hey,
no,
I
I
didn't
just-
see Fink. I didn't
I
see
just
Fink
love-
do.
Ken Woods. They just go down so easy.
I didn't see him do one-armed keg stand the entire day. So as far as I know, he was well behaved. But anyway, my point
took
is,
me up, but
obviously we know Dev is off to the next stratosphere, and we all knew that was only a matter of time coming. But I'm kind of like debating whether to reach out to her because I know she's busy. She's got that next level of credibility. Hopefully she'll remember about us, and I think she
She forgot us as soon as she got that
Yeah.
sideline reporting job. She lost your number. She will never respond to us or be on the show again. And I don't blame her. It's just natural progression.
Well, I still hope that City Pigeons can have a live episode at the wedding, but we'll talk about that. That's another thing. We're not ready to get into that yet.
I wonder
All
if
right.
she could get us in on the sidelines during the game to do a live show.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think so, but you never know. Stranger things
why
happen.
not?
Okay,
Why not?
let's get it. Hey,
But Jess, like you were saying, I've completely kicked all budget concerns for this month, and I bought tickets for Sunday's game because, honestly, I was up in the air. I wanted to go. Once I heard the snow forecast, I'm in. I was at the Falcons
Detroit.
game. What was that? The championship game in
oh yeah,
01 or
Like
03,
freezing.
something like that.
It snowed
was
before
snow-
that.
There was snow on the ground.
Yeah.
But that was a night game, and we were there all day. It was one of the greatest days of my life. So I'm trying to recreate that about 25 years later.
How far
I'm
up in
in.
the air were you?
When?
No one like that. That was a joke.
That was terrible. Where, Mish, where's your seats at? Do you know if you have protection from the snow, or are you
No,
like, out in-
they're
you're
all the
exposed?
way up. I went to the game with two of my buddies, the Giants playoff game 2 years ago. It was almost 2 years ago to the day that Sunday's game will be, and we said it was up top. I don't know where, but it was.
Meach got the ticket of the Eagles fan who's banned from the link now. That's
yeah,
that
whose
was
ticket
pretty
he
good.
got.
And right after I got the ticket, I called my employer and I was like, "Yo, if any video surfaces of me, you promise not to fire me. You promise." And I
Get
got
that
it
in writing.
I
Oh my
promise not to
gosh.
fire. And my other job, I asked, and they said, "We'll actually promote you if you go viral."
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So,
Oh wow.
So
so I'm
speaking of
good
that,
either way.
I do want real quick before we move on to this week's game and everything related to that. I do want to break down some of the happenings last weekend because we did have what I think might have been the best tailgate that we've ever had. And I want to send a thank you out to Kenwood for showing up with the beer, Blue Monkey with the catering. I mean, guys,
I probably had 17 piggy bowls.
Yeah, so the piggy bowls it was like a combination of tater tots and pulled pork, and it was out of control. So
Don't forget the Fink's hoagies. Come on,
of course, I was headed there. Fink's
So rude.
No. Listen, I was headed there. Okay, Fink's hoagies. I actually didn't even get this happens to me all the time. I'm there and I'm busy doing stuff, and I look up and like the hoagies are almost gone. I'm like, I got to get some of those, and I didn't put any in the truck for later.
Yeah, see, I
Bad
pocketed
mistake.
3 like early. That's a rookie move, Jess.
Bad
Yeah,
mistake.
I was
But
jealous
I was trying
when Squirrel said the next day he had one for lunch. I was like, oh man, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. I only had one piggy bowl. I was trying to keep things under control, all right? Because I've been
I
a bit
ate
of a
nothing.
piggy myself. So yeah,
I
good for
drank
you,
Kenwoods.
But anyway, this tailgate was fantastic. Thank you to everybody that came. If I'm forgetting him, Mark Goodhart, not here. He was with me at 8:00 in the truck, and it was really funny. He goes out into the lot and like holds the spot while I'm like in line waiting to get in, and I'm just dying to see somebody come up to him and be like, "No, bro, this is our spot." To his credit, we did have to tell a couple of people to move it along, and we were successful. So it was an awesome day. Wasn't too cold. Everything was great. I went to the game, and by the time we get into the game, everybody's excited, and just the joy that you can experience during a football game like that is unparalleled. To see your team win a playoff game, to know you're coming back next week, and I know this week all the headlines were about the guy that, mistreated the woman. And I got to be honest with you guys, when I see that I don't even want to look at it because I'm like, I know this is going to be some out-of-pocket situation that's not representative of what we do. We know that story took on a life of its own. And if you guys want to, chime in on that, feel free. But I like to focus more on the people who reacted with joy and who really immersed themselves in the experience. And I saw this one gentleman who was particularly enjoying himself at the end of the game, who was celebrating. And I just felt compelled to get some footage of this. And I just want to make sure that the viewing audience got a chance to see this. Got to see this exuberance. So I just want to play this video for you guys and just check it out real quick, okay?
I saw this.
Now,
who was that?
Now, this gentleman, I believe, was thinking about leaving. This was at the
Rock
end of the
found
game.
a lounge chair in a tunnel.
So I literally think what happened is Rock, I think, was contemplating leaving, or maybe he went to the bathroom. At this point, the game was well in hand, and there's a moment during the video where it's like everyone starts cheering, and I think that might have been the Saquon run where he, ended up going down. But I think Rock was on his way to the bathroom, and he noticed there was let's be honest, there was a handicap device, a wheelchair of sorts, and it just looked comfortable. And next thing you know, he's sitting in said chair, high-fiving fans, saying, "I will see you MFers next week." So, Rock, could we just find out a little bit about your mentality there in terms of your decision to go to the chair?
So, usually towards the end of the games and the game's well in hand, it's like, I want to get a head start on getting out of there for some reason. I don't know why, but I was like, let's get out of here. You guys were like, I was like, but you guys just were not leaving. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go run to the bathroom real quick and come back. I hear like some cheering. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And so I go back in, but the guy working there was rolling this wheelchair in there for some reason right in front of me, and he just left it there and he just stood there. And I was like, I'm just gonna sit in this thing and just wait and wait until the people come back down. So it was like the extra wide. It was like the wheelchair for like the big folks. I mean, this thing was like, if you look back at the video, there's plenty of space. Like I could have got another person in that wheelchair with me. So I just sat there and just basked in the enjoyment of the win. And people were walking up and the I don't know. I just started high fiving people and telling them I see them next week. That's just how I was feeling. I was just in the moment.
One more time, now that we've talked about it. One more
Hey,
time. Oh man,
all these people were leaving. They're probably like, "Oh, that handicap guy probably had the time of his life." What a great guy.
I mean, in all honesty, at that point, I was partially handicapped from all the consumption from throughout the day.
There was another video, okay, and I got to get my hands on this. There was another video. I think Squirrel had it, and while you're in the chair, a guy comes up behind you and grabs the back of it.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that at the time.
Yeah,
but I did see the video. That. I have that, so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, look. I mean, that was that's the stuff. You live for these moments, and you kind of like touched on an interesting scenario that we all face when we're at the game, which is, and especially if you were to drive down or something, you're thinking this happens to me at Sixers game stuff because you can spend another hour and a half there if you don't move quickly. So you're always kind of like, should I go? When during the playoffs, especially when it's not a night game, right? I do feel inclined to stay there and really soak it in, like when the Phillies were winning and they're playing Dancing on My Own and stuff, in those moments, I got to stay. I'm not trying to bust it out of there. Mish, what's your philosophy on this on a game in, game out basis?
Playoffs, I'm there to the end, no matter what the situation, no matter what, because I think, like, for example, I remember 2 years ago when I went to the Giants playoff game, you get back to your car afterwards and you just know there's no chance. Like, you guys take public transportation, but I was like, there's no chance of getting out of here. So the three of us went over to live, and I remember we ended up putting like 200. We all pooled our money together and put it on black on roulette and hit, and then we put it on like 3 numbers and hit again. So we all left there with like our ticket money and went back to our car. But I'm in the playoffs. I got to stick around to the end. Some regular season games when I got my whole family and I don't feel like sitting in the parking lot with them for an extra 45 minutes after the game, I might cut out a little bit early if the game's in question. But I always listen. It's a very expensive ticket. It's a very finite amount of time. Even if you have to stay an extra hour, I usually think it's worth it to stick around to the end.
Yeah. Well, I was down at the Sixers game last night. You know, that weeknight regular season game with the kids. Then it's like another hour is kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? That can really impact how they're getting up the next morning. So, yeah, some strategy involved. All right. Well, look, let's talk about the game that's coming up this weekend. You know, a lot of the talk this week that I've heard, there's two things people are talking about. They're talking about the book that A.J. Brown was reading, and they're talking about Jalen Hurts. And, you know, we had to do we did our own interpretation of the, you know, the book situation by calling this episode Outer Excellence, because, you know, we're more concerned here at City Pigeons about our outer excellence, not our inner excellence. And as you can see by looking at this picture,
Yeah, I
Fink
swear to God, I
is-
saw that picture like 7 times today, and I never noticed Fink's ass cheeks.
Are you
sticking
serious?
out. I swear to God.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I did too just now.
It's like a
You
Where's
didn't notice that,
Waldo?
Rock?
No.
Listen, let me tell you a story. Back
It's like
when
the Mike Tyson thing
Yeah.
when he did the interview.
Are you guys happy I just had these photos available
And-
too?
and you
Like,
know
I
what?
didn't have to take those photos today. Jesse asked, I was like, "It needs work."
The only reason it even entered my mind was because Jesse earlier said something about he was texting with Devin, and she said, "This is," and I'm thinking to myself, like, what's he talking about? I saw 3 pictures. It's just Fink. I don't see his
So
ass.
let me tell you about
Oh my God.
how this all went down. You know, as I'm thinking about how to, you know, what to call the episode, I'm like, man, like the book thing, there's got to be something there. And I'm just like trying to figure it out. I'm like, inner excellence. I'm like, outer excellence. And I'm like, okay, you know, your outer excellence would be like if you're a super shallow person, all you care about is how you look. And I was like, man, if we had a picture of somebody like posing like they're, you know, pretending to be a real hot dude, that would be great. And I was like, no
Pretending?
brainer. Fink has got like at least 10 photos of himself doing things like this. And then what's interesting is I remembered back to when I first kind of became aware of the legend that is Fink. And that was because I was, you know, Meech, we were starting to do the podcast, and I could see you guys interacting. I saw this Fink guy, and then we went to the Sixers game. And I'll never forget the first time I saw, he's done a couple of these ass out posts where like you can't really tell, like it's in the mirror. And like me, man, the first time I saw that, I was like, that's the funniest shit ever. I just thought it was so funny. And I remembered that he had these ass out posts. I was like, that's going to be perfect, man. Hope he sends you one of those. And lo and behold, gave me one of those. And here we are. So it worked out perfect. Fink. And by the way, shout out to you, man. You are a legend for always.
I just like to have fun. Like, it's just funny. Like I just do things that I know that are fun. I think are funny, and I think that might like annoy my friends. Like, who wants to see my ass on a Tuesday morning? Nobody. So,
but I think of you as like you are the literal and figurative spirit animal of the City Pigeons podcast, right? So,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know.
That's what I thought too.
He's
Yeah,
like
'cause
he's like an honorary jackass member. That's how
He's
your
like
purposes work.
he's like the old dirty bastard of the squad. You know what I mean?
Listen, I know if I went to Meech and was like, he doesn't have any photos of himself in his own damn camera. You know what I mean? So
I don't
it's not
even
going to help me.
I don't even like being on camera for a podcast. How's that?
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't like
Yeah,
any
right.
pictures of myself.
Let's look at Meech's camera roll, dude. You probably look at one there. He probably has like thousands of selfies of him just like this.
I'll be
in front of
honest with
his
you, I don't
picking
think
kids
I've
up
ever-
at school.
I don't think I've ever in my life taken a selfie. How's that?
all right. The funny thing is, I'm like, let's talk about the game this week. And next thing you know, we're talking about Fink's ass.
And
What are
you
you
know,
gonna do?
Before we get to that game, you said if we want to talk about that guy who called the little girl
Yes.
a cunt.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next
See
I
you
don't
next
have any-
Tuesday.
I don't have any comment on the matter. I really don't give a shit, to be honest with you. But what I thought was so funny about it, if you could draw some humor out of it, and that's what I like to do with most situations. Did you notice that guy? He wasn't angry at all. Like he wasn't like, you dumb, ugly, like he wasn't berating her. He's like, so matter of fact, he's like, oh, cool. You're still a dumb, ugly cunt. Like it was just like, oh, cool. That's great. Oh, you're a dumb, ugly cunt. Like it was just like stating the obvious. And that struck me as funny. And I wouldn't have fired the guy just because of how he He berated her. It wasn't out of anger. There was no malice intent. It was, and you could see the boyfriend was like arguing football strategy with the guy. He's like, well, you see, there's still like, I don't remember the exact conversation, but the guy wasn't concerned with him matter-of-factly calling his girlfriend an ugly, dumb cunt. He was worried about how many yards there were to go for the Packers. It was a crazy video, but that dude did not deserve to get fired from his job. It's like that's some shit. That stuff happens in every stadium. And who's got a secret video camera? That's some weird shit that I wish we could get rid of in 2025. No firing people for a stupid video unless it's like real hatred or racism or something like that. This is just, it was silly. It was silly.
Well, I think
I don't know about
some
that.
people
I
would
think-
say it went too far.
It
Look,
definitely went too far.
It went too far, but you didn't see what led up to it, and I don't know. It's just not a way to go about.
Mikey
life.
Miss said it was comparable to the Riley Cooper situation.
I don't even know
like,
what that means.
We blew this whole situation up bigger than it ever had to get. Like every news outlet's covering it. He said some words. He berated her. He shouldn't have. It should have been over with that day.
well,
It's
no.
Thursday. It's Thursday, and we're still talking about it. About someone
Listen.
calling someone a name. Like
I
got called that on 95 today.
I just didn't hear anyone bring up that part of it where it was like he wasn't angry. He didn't say it in malice. It was just like, okay, you're ugly, dumb cunt.
I don't know, man. I think your behavior's got consequences, and he was on some fake tough guy kind of shit. I didn't.
Not
I didn't
really.
care.
Like he wasn't
was,
trying
though.
to be tough. I don't think.
Whatever.
I'm not
I'm
defending
glad.
this guy's actions. I'm just saying I thought that was the funny part about it.
I'm
If
glad
there
he
was
got.
any-
I'm glad he got fired for the record. So there you go. Have
That's
it.
weird. Why do you want people to lose their job? Like after the lady was yelling at the Kelseys down the shore, everyone doxed her and got her in trouble at her job too. Like why?
Because your behaviors should have consequences. You got to think.
It has nothing to do with you. Like why are you guys trying to dox someone and get them to lose their job because they're having a moment?
How would that guy feel if someone was doing that to his wife or his daughter or something?
He probably wouldn't care. He looks like the kind of guy that really doesn't care.
I don't know, man. I
look,
can't defend
that's
that guy at
listen.
all.
This is the world we live in, right? Everything's going to be on camera, and I think it's hard to say that people shouldn't be responsible for their actions when they act a certain way. But it's not a totally objective thing. There's some subjectivity there in terms of
But
what should happen.
He wasn't. My thing is, he wasn't violent.
I'm trying to like.
He didn't do anything that was like it wasn't a hate crime, or he was just telling her to shut up in a creative drunk way that you do at a game.
I don't know. Look,
it wasn't
The
his
worst
job.
part
like, some
about it
sort
is
of-
the dude didn't stick up for his girl. That's the worst. That's the worst thing that happened out of the whole thing. Like you don't video and be like, "Don't worry, honey. I got this. I'll upload it to the internet tomorrow."
well, the guy was trying to get that kind of content. I mean, that's the hard part about it, right? Like he was clearly trying to get that. And I do think, though, can I say
That's what
this?
you get when you're
Listen.
asking for it. That's what you get.
I am going to say this. I hear where you're coming from, but I think there are too many people who view going to the game as like this, experience where you can do it, go just like whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's a place where anything goes, and like, that can go too far. Like people have gotten really hurt. There's been bad situations.
Right.
So
Here's my final word on the situation. If you videotape every encounter between an Eagles fan and a fan from the opposite team in the link throughout a given game, that probably ranks in the bottom 200 of the interactions. That's all I'm saying.
And you're right. But my point is, just because you're going to a game and you're, drinking and you're excited about the Eagles doesn't give you the right to just
Nobody
do
even
whatever the
knows
hell
if he
you
was
want.
drinking or what happened before that, or if he was
Whatever.
provoked.
You should
that
still
footage
treat people
wasn't
with
released by the Green Bay Packer cameraman.
Right. You should still treat people with some sort of respect. I don't care if they're wearing like another
enemies who come into the link. I hate them all.
I understand.
You come in there with that bullshit attitude with a video camera strapped around your friggin' chest. Fuck you.
Yeah, but you got enough
Your
self.
girlfriend's a dumb cunt.
You got enough respect, and you got
Me.
enough.
I mean,
Jesus.
You got enough respect that you're not going to do that to somebody. You know what I mean? Like you got enough smarts that you're not going to do that. So
do you guys feel like we're overconfident for the game this weekend? You know what I mean?
No,
Everybody
we're gonna
seems to
fucking
be-
destroy the Rams. We're gonna destroy them.
Well,
Why do you think Rock looks like the Rams are gonna give us something? What are you scared about?
No. I'm good. I'm good.
Ah.
I'm not scared of this team at all right now. I think
Okay.
the Eagles are the best
Like-
team
Okay.
in the league. I think at this point.
Does anyone have any reservations about how this is going to go on Sunday? That's my question.
if I had any reservations, I wouldn't have shelled out money for a ticket on Sunday. Put it that way. I plan on Sunday being a goddamn party in the snow, where it'll be ingrained in everyone's memory for years to come how big of an ass whooping we put on the Los Angeles.
And I just pray, keep that camera off Meach during that game. You keep that camera off Meach. You understand?
I will not
him.
berate an opposing fan. I just I won't do that. But
Right.
But I will.
but think
But I
about it.
will. Fink really goes in on mascots.
My two buddies that I'm going with, I can't promise they won't berate an opposing fan.
Right.
But
Figure
honestly, is there any LA Rams fans that are going to come to Philly and show out? Any Packers
here's the
are
thing.
at least like a storied franchise. The last time they
won the Super Bowl, Meach.
They won the Mickey Mouse Super Bowl in COVID, but before that, they were in St. Louis the last time they won. So fuck the Rams. They're not even a real team.
Let me say this: you guys know that when we're playing teams, I like to dig into like the opposing team's fan base and point out dumb stuff that they do or whatever. And really, this whole like fire situation is really ruining the mojo here, right? Because like I just, obviously very sympathetic to what's going on with everybody in LA. Last week, LA's playing; they all got the LAFD stuff going on, and I'm like, this guy's coming in here. I can't really, I don't feel right like talking a lot of shit. They got a serious catastrophe going on. Once we start the game, all bets are off. But it's made it very hard. It feels wrong to like kick a fan base while they're down, to the extent it's even a real fan base. I think a lot of people that root for the Rams aren't even from some people are from LA, but a lot of people aren't even from there anyway. But that's really kind of stole my thunder as compared to, another team from a fan base that's going to come in that we can point out all their stupid idiosyncrasies. I think being respectful here, but I'm guessing you're going to disagree with that as well, Meach.
Oh no, I don't give a shit. I mean, listen,
are you going to tell me the Fires are okay now? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the people who are affected by the fires, but it's not going to make me feel any less sorry for the Rams when we kick their ass in Philly and send them packing back to their burnt down houses.
No, Mish, no. See, you just can't throw that last part in. That's
you
the
asked
last
the
part.
question. This is the response you were waiting for. You get
I can mute people here. Watch, ready? Muted. I muted him. I'm
We
going
might
to start muting him.
You might have to delete that.
I
bottom
think I
right
need to
square.
mute him. Yeah.
It's like around the horn when he wants to mute him for a bad take. He just you're muted for the next 10 seconds.
If this was like the politically correct meter, Meach would be like -30 right now. But I love you. I love you for being who you are and being honest. We appreciate that. Okay, so everybody feels good. You guys
I'm not
know me.
insensitive. I'm just.
I know you're not.
Thanks.
You're just you're your own being, and we love you for that. Okay, this game, the only thing, and I can't remember the last time I said this. The only thing that worries me is that I'm not worried. Right? Like typically, I would be like really worried about the prospect of, because I told you guys like I want the ride to continue. Right? Like I am so desperate to spend the next couple of weeks with an Eagles game on deck that we can get excited about. We can have next week we can have an NFC Championship tailgate or a party, and then 2 weeks of getting ready for Super Bowl. I want all that. I want that not only for me, but I want that for the city, because the city is electric when those kind of things are going on. So I'm desperate for that to happen. And typically that would lead me to be super nervous about the prospect of that not happening. Like that's my worst fear. And I'm thinking about how that might happen. But as I go into this game, I just can't even drum up anxiety. I can't drum up any real worry about it. And I think part of that is because it's Philadelphia, it's January, teams coming in here to play us in the playoffs have not suffered or fared well. and I expect the environment, the crowd, everything to be a huge part of this. The other part of this, as I thought about it, really to me, as I looked at like what's the difference between last year's team and teams in the past. To me, the X factor completely is just Saquon Barkley, right? That's just the X factor to me because in the past couple of years, right, we had DeAndre Swift. We go back to the Super Bowl. Why can't I remember, guys? Help me out here.
We had three. We had Jay Ajayi. We
Oh,
traded
Miles
mid-season.
Sanders still?
No,
Gary
we had
No.
Miles
Sanders.
Sanders.
I'm not talking about when we won. I'm not talking about when we won. I'm talking about 2022. Didn't we still have Miles Sanders for that Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders,
So-
Boston Scott, and Kenny Gainwell.
So here's my point. And by the way, Jalen Hurts still threw all over the Chiefs in that game, right? Here's the thing. To beat the Eagles in these playoffs, you are going to have to come in and your number one priority is going to have to be to stop Saquon Barkley, right? That's just all there is to it. And that just opens up a lot of things in the passing game. I know that wasn't the case last week, and I don't expect that trend to continue. I know a lot of people are talking about Jalen not playing a good enough game. But my point is this, as compared to years past when teams could come in and, yeah, sure, did they have to stop the run? Yeah, but like stopping DeAndre Swift, a guy who we were not committed to giving the ball to at all, right, and stopping Saquon Barkley are two totally different things. And I think that changes the game completely because if you can't do that, like we're going to start there. We're going to punch you in the mouth. We're going to run the ball with Saquon. We're going to play physical the whole time. And if you can't stop that, then we're going there, right? And if you dedicate an extra, D-back to stop that, then we're going to get into our passing playbook. And I just think the team is too multidimensional right now as compared. We've done really well in years past with the team that wasn't this multidimensional, that wasn't this physical, that wasn't even this good on defense. And now we're improved in all these respects. And so to think somebody's going to come in here and play us on our home field in January in the freaking snow with us having the best running back in the league, arguable Derrick Henry. I just don't see how the Rams can beat us, and they look good the other night. But, I'm just going this game like, let's let it fly. Like the only way we lose this game is if we totally shit the bed. And if that happens, you're losing to anybody. That's where I'm at. I don't know about you guys.
No, I agree. I think this is one of those games that the only way they lose is if they beat themselves. It's just like the Rams are not really built, I think, to stop Saquon. And then on offense, I don't think they're built to come in and play a good game in a cold weather, wet, nasty environment. You know what I mean? So my boy Blake, who's a fan of the show, he said something today that Matt Stafford is like something like 0-6 in rain and snow games, which isn't surprising at all because he's always seemed kind of like a soft guy to me. Not like he doesn't play through injuries or anything, but like he seems like one of those guys that's like a fair weather kind of player. He's played his whole career in Detroit, inside domes. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, Detroit and LA are both domes.
Yeah, so it's just like I think that your lack of, like you said, the only thing that worries you is not being worried. I think you're not worried because you just know that the Eagles are a better team. They're going to be at home. There's no need to be worried. I think this is a slam dunk. What's the spread? Isn't it? It was like, I know it was something crazy when
6.5.
Yes, and it's
6.5.
the people that make those spreads, they do that for a reason. They're in that profession for a reason. So like that's a big spread in the second round of the playoffs. So I think this is a slam dunk game. I don't know. I don't see this going any other way than a W.
We had the number one defense in the NFL. It doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah.
And then you have the LA coming from Arizona going cross country. They're coming in here, I think short rest.
Short week.
If I'm correct.
Short
week. And then they're going to go against these guys. And it's the number one defense. You don't become the number one defense in the NFL by accident. These guys are hard hitters. They're playing some of their best ball right now. Like I just don't see how you have national media guys calling for the upset. I don't see how you have Matt Stafford and these guys coming in here and scoring on our defense at all. I see the Rams barely getting 2 TDs, and that's being generous. If I'm being honest, I don't think the Rams had the firepower. Like you have Puka, everyone's worried about Cooper Kupp. What's he done lately? And also, if you look at their Rams schedule, look at who they've been playing. They beat the Patriots, lost to the Eagles. They beat the Saints. They had the shootout against the Bills. A 12-6 game against the Niners. They beat the Jets 19-9. They beat the Cardinals 13-9. Lost to the Seahawks. Like, what are we doing here? This team is not good. I'm not worried.
Think is in his stat bag. Meech, what's your take on this?
Well, and the other thing is the Rams have been on the West Coast for at least a month, right? It was they played. What'd you say? Arizona, Seattle. They played in Arizona again as a home game, and
Yeah, they had the Bills game was at home.
yeah. So that's a month they've been on the West Coast. Now in a short week they have to fly here, play in 5 inches of snow, and against the best defense in the NFL. I mean, like Fink said, I just don't see any way they come in here and win. I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm not just saying it as like because
Get
the
cocky.
only way
Feel
they can
good,
really win
brother.
is if it's a low scoring game and they keep us out of the end zone. But I just don't see it happening, especially with what Jesse said. Saquon's the reason we got him is for these situations. I love our spot this week, and you know,
And if
I,
they
I
try to
see.
stop,
I
yeah,
don't.
if
I
they
don't
try,
see how it's
sorry,
within 2 touchdowns. To be honest with you.
they try to stop Saquon, then all you do is hit the wide receivers. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, got it on little slants. If it's snowing and you can't throw the ball that deep, like you have too many offensive horses to. Like Meach said, I'm gonna take the alt spread -10.5.
Look, here's what
Let's
I
get
want.
nuts.
Okay. Here's my dream scenario. We defer, right? Because we love to defer. Then we get the kick in the second half. They have the ball. They run, one of those screens where, like, I want Puka Nacua in the slot. Okay. And then he's going to run one of those screens where he comes back and loops out beyond, like, maybe a twin set out here.
This is
And
very specific. I like it.
I want Trotter. We heard Vic Fangio say his moment might be now, right? Which leads me to believe he's going to be out on the damn field. I want Trotter, on play one, inside linebacker, and I want him tracking, and I want him to come blow up Puka Nacua like in the same way, like Sheldon Brown blew up
Reggie Bush
to start the game.
Yeah, the top would come off the link.
Throw the axe. I mean, I'm kind of stealing this because Vinny Curry said today, I saw a post about him about, if Trotter Jr.'s in there, he throws the axe. I want to see the axe no matter. But that's my dream scenario because, Puka Nacua, and no hate on him. He's a great physical player. He's super tough. Mm-hmm. And but if he were to get totally destroyed by Trot Jr., who then threw the axe, I think that would set the tone for the game completely. So that's my dream scenario that I'm looking forward to right there.
That's a dirty dream there, you dirty dog.
Hey, I've been thinking about this a little bit.
Man, I'm in on that.
Let me put this out real quick. You know what I don't like about the Eagles? And it's not just last game, it's all the time. When they get the ball with like 2 minutes left and they have to go 50 yards, 70 yards to score a touchdown, they usually just sit on it. Like, I don't get why this team never even tries to do anything in a 2-minute offense. They just totally give up and figure we'd rather not have a turnover than try and score points. I remember those old Patriots when Belichick used to defer, and they used to score right at the end of the half, then get the ball back and score again, and it would be like a 14-point swing that would just kill you. Like it would destroy your whole morale. And the Eagles refuse to try and score at the end of halves and shit like that. I don't get it.
I don't know about that. To be honest with you, Sirianni is an aggressive guy. I don't see that. I don't think that's a pattern that I've seen over the course of the season. When he has the chance to get points, I feel like he takes it. So we'll have to see what happens. I mean, now we have Elliott with his
this
thing.
Is totally just me having a feeling. Like, it's not like I have concrete evidence about it, but I know they did it Sunday, right? Didn't they run out the half instead of it was 10-0, and they didn't try and tack on anything else. They were just comfortable with the 10-0 and went into the half. Is that
I was probably gallivant. I was probably talking to Rock, and I wasn't 100% paying attention to that.
Yeah, don't look for me for that answer because I do not remember what happened right before the half.
We were having a good old time. Okay, so I got a question for you guys. Conversation this week has been very much about Jalen Hurts and his performance. I think this is one of those weeks that makes people who don't love sports radio really hate sports radio even more, because the entire conversation has been about, whether Hurts played a bad game and whether we should care about that, even though the Eagles won, and can they win a Super Bowl with him playing like that? And I just say in their defense, like, what are they supposed to talk about? This is going to be great. We can't wait for the Eagles to win. But I did have a thought about it, because I think, starting with Hurts getting benched in the national championship game and transferring and then getting picked, in the second round and being a backup, and we look at him and we say, this guy looks like, and people will say, this guy's a winner, the way he handles himself, even keel, he's locked in, like he's not getting all emotional, this, that, and the next. But I'm asking you guys, like, if he really is a winner, right, at some point he's got to get to that ultimate, he's got to win the Super Bowl. And my question to you guys is this what happens in the next couple weeks? This is a referendum on Hurts, right? Like, what happens with him over the next couple weeks? And I almost mean it more so about like what player he is, and is he really the guy that he professes to be, as opposed to like, is he going to be with the Eagles? It seems to me like it's kind of a referendum on, is he that guy or is he not that guy? So I'm looking at it more like that, less than like, can he play well enough to win? I don't know. That's just the way it kind of came into my head. What do you guys think about that?
You don't think that he played well enough to win last week? Because we won.
No, I mean, look, that's the conversation, right? He obviously played well enough to win. If he didn't play well enough to win, we would have lost. Didn't turn the ball over. So I'm not in the camp of like, he's a big issue. And by the way, people seem to forget when AJ Brown, said the problem is passing. The next week he came out against the Steelers and easily put up, one of the best passer ratings and had a great game. So I think that's in there. But again, this goes back to the point about Saquon leading with the run and the physicality. Like, that's how we're going to beat you, but we can beat you in other ways. But I'm just wondering, like, is this a referendum on Hurts and who he is? Is he a winner, or is he the guy who gets pulled in the championship game and has to transfer to a different school, blah, blah, blah?
I think he is.
Go ahead, Rock.
I think he is the winner. I mean, if you go back to that Super Bowl, right, it wasn't his fault that they lost the game. I mean, you can say that, oh yeah, he dropped the ball by the end zone the first half or whatever, but ultimately when it came down to the end, when it came to the end of the game, like he got it done. He did enough to win that game. And it seems like in every game that's like that we've lost that's been of importance, it doesn't seem that it's his fault. He seems like he does enough to get the team a W. So I really think he's the winner. And like, I feel like this guy, he's going to win a Super Bowl at some point, probably this year, if I'm going to be 100% honest. But I don't think that if they do lose at any point during this run, it's going to be on that bottom line. I think he's a winner. Your thoughts? Depends on the play calling and scheme.
Meech, your thoughts, buddy?
Here's what I think. I think he's very hard to figure out. He's he doesn't like speak in clear thoughts. He speaks in like idioms and just bland sayings. You don't know if he's going to throw for 300 yards.
It's messed up. Go ahead.
I don't have a lot of I love everybody. It's a weird thing to say, but with Jalen Hurts, I just, you don't know what you're going to get. Do I care if he's a game manager or if he's the best quarterback in the league? No, I don't give a shit. Like, at this point, you could say Patrick Mahomes is a game manager. His stats fucking suck. Like, if you're picking a fantasy quarterback, he's not even on a roster this year. Patrick Mahomes, he's like coasted to the point where he's just like, I know exactly what I have to do to win a game, which I'm totally cool with. And I kind of think Hurts. Why did this just?
He turned his phone.
I didn't turn my phone.
Yeah, you did. Look, here's the deal.
But
that was the best anyone's made all show, comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. Right? No one's talking about Mahomes. It doesn't matter. Mahomes doesn't have anything left to prove to anybody. Right? And so it doesn't matter what his numbers are. And I look at it like when we won the Super Bowl. You go back and look at that first game that Foles played against the Falcons, and I still remember people being like, because he didn't play well in the last couple of games of the season. And we were like, I don't know if it's going to work. And then the Falcons game, we did just enough to win. We barely won. Julio Jones could have caught that ball. We wouldn't have won the game. And then all of a sudden, he just exploded. I think that's totally possible for Hurts. I think the Eagles can beat you multiple ways, and I'm not concerned. But I do still think that if for some look, we already hear the talk. If for some reason Hurts doesn't play well and we can't pass the ball, that's going to be a thing, man. No doubt about it.
It's
But
already
why? I think
because people just like talking about the shit, dude. Like,
that's all it is. It's talk.
Yeah.
Like he continues to win. He wins week after week. Every game he keeps on winning. So I heard someone bring this up today. Do you know what Tom Brady threw in the Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl that he won? His stats?
I don't know that.
Well, one, it doesn't matter because no one cares because he won the Super Bowl. He had 145 yards passing with 1 TD. No one ever brings that up, ever. They won the Super Bowl.
If you look at Tom Brady's first half of his career, all the Super Bowls he won were based off his defense and Belichick's game plan. Like, it wasn't some superhuman play from Tom Brady. He had a few games like that where, he like that Falcons game. Even
when they need him to, like the Eagles needed Jalen Hurts in the passing game to show up. He shows up when he needs to. When he does his thing when it's asked upon him. I think Hurts does that when it's asked. He does make a lot. He does in the beginning of the season. He made a lot of turnovers, mistakes. He cleaned it all up. And like Rock was saying in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, Hurts was balling out there. Like I think that game alone shows that this guy can ball. He can win. And I don't know why this conversation continues to come up time after time, even when we're winning. Like, this team is not losing, and it's like, can Hurts do enough to win? He is. We're winning every goddamn week. We're winning. What do you mean? Can he do enough to win? Like, yes, it's fun. Like, he gets tired,
and
man.
if there's one game where you could give him a bit of a pass, it's one where he just came off a concussion and is a little bit rusty, and you don't need him. So why push him to see if he's going to make a mistake? Well, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I just don't. I understand people have certain expectations for Jalen Hurts, but there's also a team thing where you have to realize what this team's trying to do, and I think it's kind of obvious. And unless you're just a stubborn dude who only cares about stats and for some reason is hating on Jalen Hurts, there's no reason to act like this.
Unless you have a radio show and you need a topic to talk about, that's when you.
Which I get as well. Like,
that's
they
basically
do.
what it is. Yeah, that's all.
They need to bring up a side so callers will come in and take the other side.
Yeah, well, now the national media is doing it too with the Jalen Hurts bullshit, and like, come on, like everyone's smarter, everyone sees the tape, everyone knows what they're doing.
I think, like, I see people. I'm on Twitter. I see people retweeting Chase Daniel. Like, who gives a fuck? I don't even know what channel he's on. What's he on? Hulu Sports or something? Like, fuck Chase Daniel.
Ball sack Sports.
Like, why does he even have an opinion? He's a career backup who never even cracked a fucking lineup, and if he did, they would have realized how bad he sucked and yanked him from his fucking horse collar.
Wasn't he here for a year or two? Wasn't that bum here for a year or two?
Here's the only thing I can say in defense of people who are being very critical of Jalen Hurts right now, okay? Because I know what it's like to live in fear of, like not getting what you really want to get in terms of winning a Super Bowl, right? They're not comfortable taking the win and being excited about it and then showing up next week and whatever happens. They're constantly projecting forward to say, okay, is what we have good enough to beat these other teams that I'm seeing do X, Y, and Z? Like, that's what they're thinking about. So they're constantly comparing to that, which is ridiculous. And by the way, you look at Baltimore and some of these other teams, like we went to Baltimore, we beat them on their own field with as good as Lamar Jackson is. You know how we beat them? We were physical. We smacked them in the mouth. We ran on them. You know what I mean? So I think the brand of football that we're playing right now, that brand of football travels. I think we'll be all right either way. But I will say, in defense of all these people, they're just so concerned that they've seen in the past when we lost to Kansas City, we got into a shootout. When we beat New England, we got into a shootout. So they're kind of assuming eventually we're going to hit that game where, we're going to need to get into a shootout. That's not a given, right? We can absolutely run the table here by just beating people up and having the best running back in the league and the best offensive line in the league, best defense in the league. We can do that. But that's their fear. They're motivated by their fear, right? Where they think if we get into a shootout, Jalen's not going to be able to do that. But it's just interesting to me when that happened, he did it. We did it against the Steelers, and we're basically ruined their season. So I think it's in there, and I think the one thing that concerns me is when people talk about how Nick and Kellen Moore are designing the offense to around the limitations that Jalen has. And to be honest with you, from where I sit, I don't know the answer to that, if that's true or not. If that is true, that would really concern me. My belief is because Saquon is great and the offensive line is great, and because we're physical, that we just decided we're going to start there and we can go to these other things. But I don't know the answer to that question.
Wait, so people are saying that they're concerned because Kellen Moore and Sirianni are designing the offense around the QB's capabilities. Isn't that what a coach is supposed to do?
Yeah, but the reason they're concerned is because they think they're inherently limited in what they can do because of what they believe he's capable of, and that
sounds stupid. It probably came from a bunch of people who never played football before too. Probably
it's possible.
Yeah.
On a related note, pivoting slightly. Did you guys see this report that Kellen Moore is going to do like 3 interviews over the next couple of days? Did we see this?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
all
I don't
the
get
time,
this.
huh?
But that doesn't make it okay. Like, how can he possibly be giving us the best, investment of his time to win this game when he's doing that?
I got to assume that this is happening after his obligations to the team. I don't know how long these interviews are, like an hour or whatever, but I got to assume it's all happening after practices, after study, after preparation and everything, that he's doing this on his own time. You know what I mean? But I do agree. It's a little bit of a weird thing. And it's something that when you're like a team like the Eagles, that you're consistently at the top of the league and you're consistently going to these championship games, you're consistently getting coaches or coordinators poached from your organization, you should probably start thinking about putting something in these contracts for the next coaches that prevents this kind of thing. Like, hey, I don't mind you, trying to pursue opportunities for head coaching jobs, but you got to do this after the season. And if it happens that you don't get the job because it's too late, then so be it. And
this isn't that hard to me, right? There should just be a rule that like no teams can interview coaches until after the playoffs are done. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like the disparity between how this impacts teams that are in the playoffs, who, by the way, other teams want the coaches from those teams. This is ridiculous. I mean, think about this. This guy could go from making whatever he makes now to making, I don't even know what a coach is making, $10 to $12 million, right? He could be the face of it's going to be a game-changing scenario for him. He's got to prepare for interviews. He could be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That's one of the top 5 most valuable franchises in the world. And you're telling me he's going to do this after his work obligations. That's ridiculous to me. Like, the whole thing is just ridiculous. We saw this bullshit with Jonathan Gannon. In my mind, they got to change this damn rule, and they got to say, look, everybody has to wait till the season's over. And if you want to interview somebody, everybody gets a chance. It's just ridiculous to me. Like, I think this is a legitimate thing. And the only good news here is that, like, it's not like Kellen Moore has been when Kellen Moore came here, I was like, oh, dude, we're getting the BYU, motion, all this cool crap. And like, really hasn't played out that way. So I'm not so sure that Kellen Moore is this genius that, if he's not locked in, we're going to be totally screwed anyway. But we've seen that happen in the past. I just think the whole thing's weird. Like, why you shouldn't have the two. I can tell you this. I know from experience, knowing people that are involved with the team, there ain't no free time. Right now they are locked in, dude. They are living there. They are doing everything they can to beat the Rams, and they will move on to whoever's next. And the idea this guy has time to go interview for the job of a lifetime, total bullshit to me.
So
I'm against it.
So like you say,
yeah, I still have a bad taste from the Gannon thing too. Like you said, that just doesn't sit well with me. I don't think his mind was all in it for a Super Bowl. And even if it was, like, you can't tell me the way that defense came out and looked that he was all in with the scheming. I don't know. I don't like this rule. I think it's stupid. You shouldn't be able to do it, especially during the middle of the playoffs like this. Like you said, where's the free time at? Like, what was he doing? Interview at 8:00 at night? Couple hours? Like, your head's not in a game that could be a lifetime change.
When Sirianni got interviewed, if I recall, he like went to South Florida and spent like days with these guys, like getting grilled. Now, granted, he had no real pedigree at that point, but this is silly to me. Like, maybe you say the first week of the 2-week bye during the Super Bowl. I don't know, but I just like it. Wait until after. Nobody interviews anybody. Like, I think the NFL is blowing it here.
Like, tell him more. Like, the Cowboys already know him. He was there. He's Dak Prescott's boy. So I think but Besides that,
He's got 3 interviews, Meech.
Yeah, but if you look back on the Belichick years, every year they won the Super Bowl, their coordinators would get hired. They'd be interviewing the whole time. Listen, these guys want to win at any cost. He'll take care of his obligations for the team, and I mean, I just trust that because this has been going on for way too long. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going to get riled up about what Kellen Moore's doing.
Get riled up.
I'll save my riling up for
I'm riled up.
other stuff.
Jess,
I know you are.
And one thing you said, like there's no free time, right? So that's just the sport, right? So there's no free time for us right now getting prepped for the game, but there's also for those teams that aren't in the playoffs and they stink. There's no free time for that organization and coaches, right? So it's like, they got no coach. They got time that they need to prep for the next season, get their draft boards ready, put their schemes in. So they want to get this thing handled as quickly as possible too.
I don't care about them, okay?
I know you
Every
don't care
year,
about them. I'm just
fans like
telling
me
you.
pony up a certain amount of money and invest our time and effort to go support our teams with the hope that we will get the chance to win a championship.
I'm just telling you
why
there's
if you're telling me
from the league.
if you're telling me that while I'm here at that pinnacle moment, have a chance to win the championship, I should be even thinking about the fact that these other teams that didn't make the playoffs don't have a coach. I could care less. It's BS. Just wait until after the playoffs. I don't care if, I know it's a year-round thing and there's free agency. I don't care. Just pass a freaking rule.
I'm just trying to tell you why there's not going to be some rule against that. And if you want to get around that rule, then the players, the organizations that are hiring these coordinators need to put that rule into the contract that says you cannot interview for an open coaching position until after your obligations to this team are
raise
done.
an interesting point.
I heard Jerry Jones offered Kellen Moore $1 million bonus to be head coach if he purposely loses this game for the Eagles.
See, I mean, who's to say that's not happening, Meech?
It did. It happened. I've seen it.
This is ridiculous. What is going on? It's absolutely ridiculous. All right.
Maybe Howie's going to put that into the next coordinator's contract.
Okay. So I just want to say, I think we've covered it here. We're ready for the game. Like I said, I advise everybody to push everything away for the next couple days and really lock in, get ready for Sunday. It's going to be great.
Can I get the last 3 minutes to talk about my favorite album of all time? Please.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the last 3 minutes, but you can talk about your
listen,
favorite
I
album
see the
time.
clock's coming down. I'm only
Doesn't
contractually obligated
clock.
until 60 minutes.
There's no clock, dude. You got this. There it is. Oh, nope, I got the wrong one. There you go.
Tomorrow, January 17th, marks the 30th anniversary of my favorite album of all time. I'm obviously 45 years old, I think, at this point. So in the mid 90s, early 90s, that was like my key growing up, listening to music time. I think if you consume music nowadays, you don't even understand how serious it was back then, but you really had to like go out and consume music. It didn't just pop up on your phone at midnight when it came out. You literally had to seek it out and find cool stuff. Well, when I was a kid, there was a rap group from Philly called The Roots, and it was really like when they came out, they were the greatest band ever. In 1995, on January 17th, their first album. Well, actually, it's their third album, if you want to be technical. They had 2 come out in the UK, but "Do You Want More" from The Roots came out in January 1995. By far the most influential album of my entire life. In my CD book, I still had the receipt from Sam Goody in the Chamonix Mall for $18.01. It cost me. Look at that. I had it upside down.
That's crazy.
$18.01
that's crazy.
for like I remember
that's so much money.
In like the top 100, it used to be like $11.99. But if you wanted a good new release that wasn't out, now I was so serious about these guys. Like I was way into records back then too. So if any record that came out, me and my boys would hop on I was in Somerton. We'd hop on the Forest Hills train, head down we'd do the trifecta. It would be Armand's at 11th and Filbert, Funko Mart on Market Street, and then go to 11th for Sounds of Market. We'd hit all of them up, go to all the records. I had, even before they came out, like this the Do You Want More vinyl, the promo vinyl with the Do You Want More B side and It's Coming A side, Distortion of Static. I even got
Oh,
back in the day, you used to be on message boards online with like other rap fans and shit, and you used to trade tapes and records and shit. So, and you just have to trust the guy. You would send out records to him and hope he'd send them back. It was I don't even think it could happen nowadays. But this was like the Grail record for me back then. This was a UK only release of the Roots Distortion of Static remixes that Cosmic Kev used to play the shit, but nobody else had it. You couldn't find a record back then. This record might have cost like $250. I traded so many promo records and shit just to get this. It was like a different level of music, just relaying to music and absorbing music, consuming music, and this was by far the number one album for me of all time. 1990, 93, 94, 95 were the three best years for rap, in my opinion, just because that's what I grew up on and shit. But I think if I had to say for sure, 95 would be the best year. And I remember this and Smith & Wesson started it off. Smith & Wesson came out early January, but it was like, I even got the Silent Treatment promo that I stole from WIXQ at Drexel when I was a DJ at Drexel. I got the Roy Ayers Proceed 2 remix record. Like you just had to search the shit, and you couldn't find it on your own. You had to go to the record store and get it, and then make mixtapes and share them with your buddies and shit like that. But January 17th, 1995, greatest rap album of all time, in my humble opinion. The Roots, Do You Want More? Thank you for releasing it. Changed my life.
damn, man. That was beautiful.
What's your
Seriously.
favorite song?
No, it changes all the time. Mellow My Man is great.
Distortion of Static with the intro drums
Drums,
for
yeah.
me is
And
just and
the
I
lesson
mean, come
with
on.
Dice Raw, which when Dice Raw recorded the lesson, he freestyled that as a 15-year-old kid at Frankfurt High School. Like it's some amazing shit that maybe if you're not from Philly, you don't get and appreciate as much as I do. But this was my shit, man. Like it's all I cared about back then.
I gotta say this, and Meech, we were kind of talking about this going in here a little bit.
I even have the sticker from 1995,
which you haven't stuck on anything. I gotta give you credit for that.
I have about 90 of them, but I have one left.
Yeah, to me, it's funny that you say that because that, I wasn't as deep into the rap scene as you were then, but you got me into the Roots. Like I remember being like, oh, this guy is into the Roots, and this guy is. I just at that time, you were an amazing person to be around, and
just at that time,
it's changed significantly. But it's funny, I like that. If I think about that album, I think about the Roots. I will always think about you, and that album has remained by far my favorite. When I'm going back to put on anything in the Roots, it's that. And it's an awesome thing. So and I appreciate how deep. I appreciate anybody who goes that deep on anything, whose passion is just like out on display. You know what I mean? So I commend you for that, and I think it's only proper that we end the show with a pure Philadelphia moment right there. Just paying homage to a group that has been as true to Philly and representative Philly as anybody has, and has kept it real on so many levels. So very fitting. And I think that's a good way to finish this baby up.
Look, I still got this is one of the
okay. We've seen, you have a lot.
From
like
UK.
We understand that you're a fan.
It's still got the Armand's Records price tag on it. You don't get that.
Let me say this. I want to go back to one thing. You paid $18 for a record.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's crazy because, right now, you pay less than that for anything you could possibly want to listen to. And like $18 is a lot. Like $18 is like when I pay $18 for lunch on the weekday, I'm like pissed off about it. $18 is a ton of money back in the
I worked
90s, man.
at White Glove all weekend just so I could buy music. That's it.
That is just nuts.
And how much of that
That's
money
neat.
was getting back to the artist? Because like I know the artists are getting jerked back then. Now they're getting jerked now with like
Well,
that's crazy, man.
Back then it was different, Rock, because if you think about it, everyone was paying, $10 to $18 for every record. So
Right.
it was more money. Like, are they getting stiffed? Yeah, but
Yeah, but like
are they making? I know, but these deals with Spotify and stuff are not as good. That's why
Yeah.
bands are touring as much. They're
That's
making
what
a
I'm
lot of money
saying.
off the live
So
stuff.
the record
Yeah.
industry been fucking the artists over forever. It's one way or the other.
They've figured out multiple ways to do that over time.
Anyway,
Especially Don't Look Down back in the early 2000s, but we don't need to go into
I got
all
that CD. I'll bring that for show and tell next
There
week.
you go. Do that. Do that. Okay. Well, look, I do want to make an announcement. It's not much of an announcement, but this week it was hard to pull the tailgate back together. I know. I feel like I should have like a sounder that's like boo. I don't have that. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. Perfect. But I will say this: we're all hoping that the Eagles win. Provided the Eagles do win, we know that they would either be home against Commanders or in Detroit. And if either of those scenarios play out, I can assure you we have more time to get ready and mobilize, and we're going to do something fun. And like I said earlier, I'm dying for the ride to continue. So if it does, we're going to lean into it even more. We're going to do as many things as we can. And if you're watching this, please do us a favor, follow on social media, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps us be able to, build the community here and do more things. Basically, it convinces me that I should, show up at the parking lot earlier. I should get more things for the tailgate and so on and so forth. So if you've been to any of these events and you want to keep them coming, please do support us. And if you have any thoughts, feedback, comments, whatever, let us know. Get in touch. We're excited.
We'll be in the same spot on Sunday if you want to just join us to have a couple beers, right? No,
I don't know where we're going to be. Meech, I don't know where we're going to be. I don't have a plan yet, but we'll put it out there.
Probably be indoors for a little bit. I ain't going to lie to you guys.
Oh, with the snow. Yeah. K-Lot is the place to be with the solar panel overhead.
I'm talking more about the cold, chill, but whatever.
All right, you'll be fine.
I know you got proper. I'm not going to be there.
If you want to hang, we'll shoot it out where we're going to be.
What was the announcement? Did I miss the announcement, or that was just kind of like a...
The announcement was hopefully next week we'll be doing something great, and then we'll apologize for this week. But we'll be standing around a pole likely. If you want to hang out with us, we'll tweet the location. We may not be
standing around a pole. Bring a bucket, and you can sit on top.
Before we go, I need predictions. I got Birds 27-13.
Okay. See, this always happens. I haven't even thought about what is actually going to happen.
Well, you're going to have
31-10.
See,
27-13. I'm just stealing Finks' numbers.
I was going to say, and I'm surprised you didn't say, by the way, 13-27.
I was going to say 13-27, but
yeah. All right, let me think about this here.
Wrong side.
I don't see like a huge, shootout. I think it's cold, it's physical. I'm going to go 24-10. Eagles.
Double-digit wins by everybody. Look at that. Beat down.
All right. Well, look, go Birds. Thank you for anyone that joined in on this episode, and we will be back and hopefully better than ever next week with more shenanigans and fun. Guys, thank you for your time. Finks Hoagies. Hey, if you need any hoagies,
go Birds. We're open on Sundays.
There you go. Beautiful.